So my name is Nicholas Bush. I'm a psychology major, and I'm currently working on two independent projects. One is systematic literature review on peer recovery services and how they can impact healthcare. And then the second project is working on sort of factors that associate with pain in younger populations, particularly within undergraduate students, because it's a population that tends to get forgotten about in pain. And so we wanted to see sort of what's the prevalence of pain and sort of what are the social factors that you'd have within this sort of high pressure, stressed environment, and whether or not their pain levels correlate with the general public. Yeah, so I'm from Burrillville, Rhode Island, which is sort of, if you visualize Rhode Island, it's the top left-hand corner. It's very rural, it's very blue-collar, Republican-ish kind of area. It's sort of like living in the South, I say, but in Rhode Island. And I went to a private school in Attleboro, Massachusetts, which is very much like a city. And so I had these two different perspectives of living in a very rural area and living in a city. And I really liked the idea of going to URI because, you know, I wanted to go back to Rhode Island, the same state that I was in. It had a very good sort of reputation in public university level. And I also liked the idea of seeing what the coastal community was like. So Northern Rhode Island's very industrial, and so down here is a whole different culture in sort of this beachy West Coast vibe kind of area. So I really wanted to get that perspective. Yeah, so one of the biggest projects that I've done, not only at URI but with Dr. Brian Dewsbury, was looking at social belongings, or perception of social belonging in underrepresented populations at the university level. So we did a study where we looked at sort of these perceptions between white students and black students, and what we found was that the perceptions were wildly different, and that white students really weren't thinking about these critical issues, and they were saying things like, well, the university is a very inclusive campus, and then when you actually talk to black students, they had a wildly different view. So there's this big disconnect. And when I did that project, I wasn't really quite sure what impact that would have. But then we went on to a national research conference in Phoenix. It was the annual biomedical research conference for minority students, ABRCAMS. And there was an incredible amount of interest in this kind of work. And we ended up winning an award for the posters, Outstanding Poster Presentation Award in Behavioral Science. Yeah, so how I started working with Brian Dewsbury was my freshman year. I was in a biology class, my first semester, and I didn't like the professor. And so I really wanted to get Dr. Brian Dewsbury's section because I saw he had really good reviews, and I was really interested in the research that he was doing. And on the last day you could add a class, one person dropped from his section, and I joined in sort of like at the last minute, and I absolutely loved it, and I loved the way he taught. I was really passionate about the work that he was doing, and I was always really interested in getting a PhD or going down that path, and so research was sort of on my mind. And I just said, you know, can I join your lab? Like, you know, is there a way in which I can sort of get my feet wet this early on? And he let me go in for 2 weeks to see if it was something that I could handle, and it was something that I would like. And I've sort of been here for 3.5 years since then, and I've loved it ever since. My advice to freshmen would be, first thing would be to start early as you possibly can. It opens up many doors and many avenues, even if it's not the work that you want to do, or if you don't know what you want to do yet. So the work that I did with Dr. Dewsbury was not what I ultimately decided I wanted to do, but the skills and confidence that you get just from those kinds of experiences helps you go and seek out other opportunities later on. And it looks really good if you're starting to gain those skills, because by the time you're a senior, you're no longer learning how to do research, you can do your own research. And the second thing I can really recommend is be bold. Like, you have to go out and seek these opportunities out. Oftentimes they won't find you, and the ones that do may not be the best ones for you. So you really need to go out and be proactive in the work that you want to do. And when you do get a job in research, do everything you can to exceed beyond that. So you may get a job that's, you're going to put in data, and you're going to do data entry. Try to do everything you can to go beyond that. Because if you can push yourself to the limits, you'll learn and grow. And eventually you'll start doing more and greater things. A lot of times students get stuck in these early phases of research because they feel like, I'm so young, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But you can really be doing at every level of research process. You can be involved there, as long as you're willing to sort of push yourself beyond that comfort zone.